In this lesson, we're going to learn how to subtract mixed numbers. With subtracting mixed numbers, we start by looking at the fractions. Both of my denominators are the same, and my numerator 3 can subtract the numerator 1. So I can begin on this problem without any problems. My denominator, 6, stays the same. My numerators, 3 subtract 1 is 2. Now my whole numbers, 8 subtract 5 is 3. Now my fraction is 2/6. Both of those are even numbers, so I know that there is another equivalent fraction that I can use that will simplify this answer. So I'm going to rewrite my whole number, it's 3, and I've got to make a new equivalent fraction. Now when I use my factors for 2, which is 2 times 1 equals 2, so my factors are 1 and 2, I'm going to put a 1 and a 2 up there for my factors. 6 is also divisible by 2. 2 is a factor of 6. So I'm going to circle the 2, and then I'm going to divide by 2 for both numbers. Now, 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So my final answer for this problem is 3 1/3. Let's take a look at another kind of subtraction problem. Here I have 8 1/6 minus 5. My fraction 1/6 needs to be able to subtract my other fraction, which I don't have one. So, can I have 1/6 and can it subtract nothing? Yes, it can. 1/6 subtract nothing is 1/6. Now, I can look at my whole numbers. 8 minus 5 is 3. Now, I know 1/6 is in simplest form because it's a unit fraction. It's a unit fraction because the numerator is a 1. So 3 1/6 is my final answer for this problem. Now here's the opposite problem. Here we have the whole number at the beginning and we're subtracting 5 3/6. I need to ask myself again, can my fraction subtract my fraction? No, it can't. I've got no fraction, so if I have nothing, I cannot subtract 3/6. That's not going to work for me. So what I've got to do here is I've got to borrow, just like in subtraction. So 8 is going to become a 7 because I'm borrowing 1. And when I borrow 1, I need to borrow one that's a fraction. So here I need a fraction that is the same as 1 whole. Because my denominator is already 6, I need to keep a 6 as the denominator, but my numerator needs to be the same so that it's equal to 1 whole. So my fraction that I'm going to use is 6/6 because 6/6 is the same thing as 1 whole. So 7 6/6 is the exact same amount as 8 whole. Now I can put the rest of my problem and I can subtract. Now I've got to look at my fractions again. 6 and 6 would stay the same. And can 6 subtract 3? It can. And 6 subtract 3 is 3. Now I'm going to look at my whole numbers. 7 minus 5 is 2. And we've had a lot of practice on this, so students may be able to look right at this and know that 2 3/6 is the same as 2 1/2. We know when the numerator is exactly half the size of the denominator, or 3 times 2 is 6, or 3 plus 3 is 6, that means that that's equivalent to 1/2. So here our final answer for this is 2 1/2. If your student did not remember that 3/6 was equal to 1/2, could have of course written the factors for 3, which are 1 and 3, because they're the only two numbers that can multiply together to get 3. Knowing then that 3 is also a factor of 6, you can divide 3 by 3 and get your 1. You can divide 6 by 3 to get 2, and that's how we can get 2 1/2. Okay, the last problem, and the trickiest. Here we have 8 1/6 subtract 5 3/6. Now my denominators are the same. Here, my numerator 1, I need to subtract my numerator 3, and we cannot subtract 3 from 1. Or 1 minus 3, we can't do that. So, I've got to borrow, just like we did a minute ago. So I'm going to borrow from my 8, and it's going to become a 7. Now, because we've got another fraction here, I'm going to put parentheses around this because we're going to have to rewrite our fraction so that we're able to use it. I've got 7 whole. I need my fraction that's equal to 1 whole, which in this case is going to be 6 sixths, because my denominators up here are already 6, so I need to stick with them. And to make a fraction that's equal to 1 whole, the numerator must be the same as the denominator. So I've got 7 plus 6 sixths plus, I can't forget this fraction that I already had. So I've got to put it with this, and all of this is the same as 8 and 1/6. I've got 7 whole, and I've got 1 whole, which together equals 8, and 1/6, which is all part of this original mixed number. Now, I'm going to rewrite this as 7, and then I'm going to put 6 sixths plus 1/6 together to make 7 sixths. Now I can come back and put on the rest of my problem. From 7 and 7 sixths, I'm going to subtract 5 and 3 sixths. Now my denominators are the same, and my first numerator, 7, can subtract the 3. So I can begin. I'm going to go ahead and my denominators stay the same, and 7 minus 3 is 4. Now I'm going to do my whole numbers. 7 minus 5 is 2. Now I know, looking at the 4 sixths, that they're both even numbers, so they're going to be able to be simplified. So when I write down the multiplication facts that I can think of that equal 4 to get my factors, I come up with 2 times 2 equals 4, and 4 times 1 equals 4. So 1, 2, and 4 are my factors. I like to write them right up there. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my equal symbol because I can't forget about my 2. I need to put my 2 whole, and I'm going to make an equivalent fraction with smaller numbers that we refer to as simplifying. Now I need to ask myself, is 4 also a factor of 6? No, it's not. I can't multiply anything times 4 to get 6, so that's not going to be the factor I'm going to use. Can I multiply something times 2 to get 6? I can. So 2 is my factor. 6 is divisible by 2. So here I'm going to divide 4 by 2 and get 2. And down here I'm going to divide 6 by 2 and get 3. So my final answer for this problem is 2 2/3. All right, well, I hope that helped, and if not, let your teacher know.